Well, hello again, Sterling College. I wish we were coming to you not again in a Zoom interview, but we've had to pivot and adjust. And last night, May 3rd, was supposed to be a really special, awesome senior chapel. But since we were not able to gather together in person to celebrate and feature our seniors, we're going to adjust and do that differently. You guys know me, I'm Chaplain Paul Brandes, and I have really enjoyed getting to work with all of our students this year. I think we've got an amazing senior class, and I'm sad that we only get to overlap for a year. And I've selected a couple of seniors for an interview format. Hopefully, we're in the process of collecting video submissions, and we'll have that video as well with a lot of your voices featured. But wanted to even at a longer standpoint take a look at a couple seniors that I've gotten to know really well. So, Red Tawater, why don't you go ahead and wave and say hello?
Hey!
Yeah, there she is. And Lexie Sutter, why don't you go ahead and wave and say hello too?
Hi, guys.
All right, so we're going to chat with these two for a minute or two here for a while, and we definitely will cover all of the normal senior transition type of questions, but even before that, just felt like it actually would be awkward to not begin with some conversation about the massive changes that have taken place, and I just keep reflecting on how quickly it all went down. You know, this, for us, we were preparing to go to spring break when COVID was really ramping up and things were changing in our country and in our world. I know other schools were actually on spring break when that was happening, but I know I didn't feel like I had any time to process the massive changes. And then the fact that we shifted to online classes in the middle of the extended spring break meant that we didn't really have any time to process together as a community what was happening to us. And I've been heartbroken for the changes for all of our students, and really all of us. Has just been challenging, but I think most my thoughts and prayers have gone to our seniors. And so that's what I want to ask you all about here, or ask you about, Red and Lexie. And Red, we'll go ahead and start with you. I think it's good and right to talk about what's been hard. So what have been some of the challenges for you in the midst of these unwanted changes and transitions?
I think highlighting on two of the most, I guess, the most obvious challenges for me are basically changing from living on your own and living with the people that you select to be in your friend group to coming back and living with your family or whoever you're living with. And so it's a complete different environment change. It's something that you haven't had to deal with since you've been at Sterling, or since I've been at Sterling. I mean, I'm from Houston, Texas, and I decided to move to Kansas, and so it's definitely been a change. I think one of the main things for me especially has been the lack of community, or the lack of quality of the community that I've had in Sterling. I mean, the people there are absolutely amazing, and they are one of the biggest contributors to who I am now. And so I think it's just been having to find that community within the like from where I grew up. So I mean, like, I'm from Houston and I grew up here, and I went to high school and grade school and all that stuff. And so I have people that I've grown up with, but in the last 4 years, there's been so much change and good change that it's just kind of hard to come back and try and live the life that I lived before high school or before all of this change, to at least have some type of community. But I think also one of the things about this challenge that's fueled me is to love my friends from Sterling harder. I mean, it's one of those things that we have a bunch of groups, like group messages, and just constantly reminiscing on memories of how good it was. So yeah.
Yeah, the sort of abrupt loss of the community that you had come to cherish. Yeah, and I mean, we miss you here too. All the students, it's just really not the same. And I was just getting used to my job, and then it changed overnight and involved sort of no in-person student interaction, which has just been really, really odd. So Lexie, what about you? Would you echo those challenges? Would you add to it, or kind of agree with Red? I know I saw you nodding.
Yeah, I think just missing my friends is one thing that has been hard for me. I find myself just thinking like the same thoughts of like a 4-year-old who gets their toy taken away.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is just not fair. Like, that's just what I keep telling myself over and over again. Like, it's just not fair. Like, And then after a while, I started telling myself, well, feeling sad about it and feeling sorry about it, it's not going to make the situation go away. Like, we got to keep moving forward and find the next thing to look forward to. So I think with graduation being rescheduled, that's something that like helps me be like, well, it's not like I'm never going to see these people again. Like, I will be able to see them at least at graduation, and like that weekend is something that I'm looking forward to a lot now. I'm like a very forward oriented, like future oriented person. So all of a sudden it was like everything was getting canceled. And I was like, now all of the stuff that I was looking forward to is like not happening. And I think that really bummed me out. But just getting to like be alongside people who are also going through the same struggles. Like, I don't think anyone understands like our specific struggles, like going through this at Sterling, because a lot of other universities are just like, okay, well, your classes are online, and if they're not that tight knit community, then that's not something that they're missing. That's not something that necessarily all other college students are missing, because they didn't have Sterling to be like the fantastic community that it is. And so I think I don't know, it makes me feel lucky to have something that is so worthy of being missed.
Yeah, that's an interesting, it's hard. And as a dad of a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, you're spot on. They do say it's not fair. And they're right, when somebody wrongly takes their toy, and we all are right to say, hey, this isn't fair. It shouldn't be this way. And yet it is. But I think that's a really interesting point to draw out, Lexie, that it's better to have the incredible community and place and college experience that you all have had, and then it's better than to have it than to not have it. And having it now, it's terrible to lose it, or to have it change in the manner that you two and the rest of us and the seniors had this experience. But that's a great point to draw out as well. And Sterling is a special place. Not only do I remember it as a student and agree with both of you, but I like it enough to come back and try to invest in the next generation of college students. So, and Lexie, that's a really good reminder about graduation as well. By the time this video comes out, a decision may have been communicated about when exactly that's getting rescheduled too. But of course, we're not canceling graduation. We want that honor. Maybe talk about that in terms of, now at this point, Lexie, you've already said, like, part of why I'm excited about graduation is just because I get to see people again. But what is it about graduation that is really exciting, and why are you glad that we're rescheduling it? What are you looking forward to with
that? Yeah, I think when it comes to graduation, I was terrified that they would just be canceled and that we wouldn't get the opportunity to kind of officially wrap up everything that we had gone through in the 4 years, everything that we had put into our education, into our community, into just the 4 years of life of living on campus in this itty bitty town of Sterling, that has brought so many good things. And so I think it's just that monumental just goodbye. Like, thank you for everything you've done. Like, you have pushed me to grow to this new person, and I'm entering the world now. And it's kind of just that sweet bliss of sad bliss of just like finally growing into the person that hopefully you're going to continue to grow as you go into the community. And that's so whenever it's bittersweet. There you go. And so I think personally, whenever they said it was postponed, I got extremely happy, because like Lexie said, just the idea of being able to see everyone again is going to make, I think, honestly, that moment even sweeter than it normally would be. On May 16th. I think it's just going to bring so much more love and emotions, and just that community-driven feeling of the fact that we survived COVID-19 and we're here, whatever day we choose. We're here, we survived COVID, we survived the 4 years, and let's go crazy for this weekend. And so I'm extremely happy that they've decided to postpone it and to pick another date, despite obviously the challenges that come with moving it to that date for everyone involved. But I think it's a much better option than canceling it.
Well, and I agree. And the word that comes to mind over and over for me about normal graduations, but then even in an extra way about this one, is celebration. And you all deserve a celebration, not just of your achievement in the classroom over the last few years, but of your resiliency in the midst of this change and still rolling with it. So Lexie, what are you just super pumped for the celebration of a rescheduled graduation?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I know that I had talked with my friends about like, hey, if this school year gets canceled, how about we all come? We all come on May 16th and just I'm gonna walk across Cooper Lawn no matter what. I am just gonna, like, whether it's just me walking across the grass.
Hey, who's that outside?
She's just walking back and forth, shaking hands with the air. So I'm gonna celebrate this no matter what. But the idea that I get to do that with my friends and family and be able to just see the people who have like encouraged me along just like my whole college journey, that will be really I think fulfilling, to be able to just be together and celebrate.
Yeah, in an official capacity, not in an unofficial,
yes.
awkward, Lexie's alone out on Cooper Lawn. What's happening? We have to call security.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's really good. Well, tell me about, I've talked to a lot of students, but you two are now an official interview. Tell me about classes. There's a reason that you two and everyone else decided to come and do in-person classes. So I'm imagining that the sort of force to online has been challenging and hard, but are you going to make it? I mean, you're hanging in there. You did senioritis, I imagine, had already set in, and now you're doing classes in a virtual format. What has that been like? What professors do you want to shout out that have been like really awesome? What's been hard about it? Red, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Yeah, personally, I've never taken an online class, and so this is a huge learning curve, to an extent, especially since, we all know Sterling is not tech savvy. Like, they have made leaps and bounds since my freshman year, but Sterling is not known to be super tech savvy, and so it's been interesting. I think most of the professors have shown a lot of grace, which is not an uncommon thing for Sterling, but especially during this time, it's been an absolute blessing. I think that I've had some professors that have tried to change a lot of like aspects of the classroom, and so like they're trying to make it as adaptable as possible. But I've also had some professors that have decided to just kind of keep it as normal, because some classes, the majority of the work was online already, in which I find more benefit in some of those professors just because of the fact that through so much change, there's very little now in the classroom. And so there's like, it kind of equals it out. But I also love the fact that, professors are so committed to trying and making it as easy as possible. And so like I've received probably more emails like in these last month and a half than I've ever had in my 4 years. But it is all in good faith. And so I think the biggest struggle for me is just those classes that have so much information. Like one of my health science classes I'm taking is so much like information. It's really, really good, but it's having to now completely change how I've learned the past 4 years to finish out my last semester. Yeah. And so it's definitely been a challenge, but I think honestly still having a lot of my friends, like we all kind of are going through all this like together, so I think it has made it a little bit better. But yeah, I think it's been good. I will say I'm going to shout out Miss Singer. She has put in so much effort to make our class at least as adaptable as possible. But I also want to shout out like Professor Mills or Dr. Mills, because he is just very like, hey, look, we're going to continue what we're doing. Yeah, there's a lot of change going on, but we're going to push forward and do what we've always done and get this information out. And so I think both of them have had a huge impact on making this a lot easier for me, at least.
Well, that's great to hear. Lexie, what about you?
I think for my classes, I was really scared about like what the transition to online would look like, because
Yeah.
a couple of my classes, I'm an art major, and a couple of my classes are like studio classes. So a lot of our learning is like our teacher coming alongside us as we're working on our work, and just kind of like working on things together. And that's not something that we really have anymore. But I really am thankful for how Sia and Libby have both adapted to like teaching our classes. I remember I posted we have like a Facebook page for our senior art exhibition class. And I posted, I was like, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Can any words of wisdom? And then Libby said, one thing that my professors told me when I was in my undergrad was that you don't have to be scared until I'm scared. And I'm not scared about things. I think we're going to be great. And so like, there's nothing to be scared of, like with, as far as how we're going to transition to this, because we've got it under control. And so I think just our professors, like resilience and problem solving skills are really showing, are really coming out, just helping, like aiming to help students with whatever like things that we need, and just going above and beyond that any professor would have to be, like that would be expected of them, is what I've been just experiencing, like seeing them really show out for us, and it's for the students. And like Red said, having a lot of grace with us, because there have been, like, none of us are, I feel like it's really hard to have like a structure in this time. Like most of the times I don't know what day it is. I like wake up at a very different time than I would have woken up at doing on-campus classes. And so I think that just being understanding and like growing with each other is something that has been so helpful in just adapting to online classes.
Good. That's great. Well, I wonder, I've got the two of you seniors here. What message would you have to other seniors? Well, what are one or two things that you would want to say to them, a message you'd want to pass on about, I've got you here on camera recording this. So yeah, either one of you can jump in with a message to your fellow seniors.
Yeah, I think it's just the acknowledgement, like, it sucks. Like, this time has completely blindsided all of us, and whereas we have had dreamed of this last semester and we have thought about it, prayed about it, just kind of it being taken away from us, it sucks. And so I think it's crucial for us as seniors to really just come to terms with that. I think there's always a silver lining in everything, and I'm about to talk about that, but I think it's just the acknowledgement that there's so much change and it does suck. But I think, freaking guys, we survived COVID-19. Like, we are the senior class of COVID-19. I think it's something that should be on our dang resume, because there's so much change that has happened and we have rolled with it for the most part. And I think it should really speak to anything that the Lord has for us in the future. I mean, we have had to give up almost everything that we have planned for this last semester for a bigger plan. And so I think it just speaks to how grateful we should be in the moment at all times, and two, that we are here and we're doing it. Like, I'm sorry, underclassmen can feel bad about how they're stressed out next year right before their graduation, but I'm going to be looking at them and be like, bro, you don't even know it, because we had COVID-19. Like, it's not, we're going to be, not like we should be comparing journeys, but it's one of those things that we did it and we're doing it. And I think it should make us stronger and more determined to make every single moment after this more and more special, and just I don't know. I think it just shows the importance of living in the moment and just going with the current.
Yeah, I think instead of saying that you graduated in 2020, you should say graduated in COVID-19. Just like that's it
Yeah.
right there. Everybody will know, oh, that was 2020. But then it allows people to know what you have endured in the midst of. So, Lexie, what about you? Message for your fellow seniors?
I think I would just say that like we are capable of much more than we think we are. I know that if my classes like before this had all happened said, hey, we're just going to switch to online randomly, I'd be like, I can't do that. But I think when there's a point like when there's not like an option of doing that, we can really, you know, like be up to the challenge. Like when when the time calls for it, we I think we've been well equipped to handle things that are coming with us. I know, like personally, I've been like equipped by just by like knowing that God is always good to me. That this is not a time where God is not absent, or that God is absent, or that God is not really caring about us. I know that He is holding our hands as we go through this, and that like there's a lot of God's goodness and God's heart that I saw through people at Sterling and through the community there, and just I see that as not being at Sterling while reminiscing about things. Like this is something that makes it very unique, and I think that I'm still able to appreciate God's goodness in all times. He is the same today as he was yesterday and will be tomorrow. And I think that keeping that in mind is something that we can hold to. No bad time lasts forever. Like, I'm sure there are many of us who have had really hard times in life. And when you come out the other side of that, it shows you that, like, you know, I thought that at the time, I thought that it wasn't going to end. It looked hopeless, but I don't think anything is really hopeless when you have, when you can put your faith in the Lord.
Amen.
I love that. Well, as you think about, I know, Lexie, you were mentioning kind of reminiscing, what is a favorite memory that you have of Sterling College? And I'm sure it's hard to choose. I know the first 5 that you thought of involve me, so you can just set those off. It's okay. We can talk about those after we're done with the interview. But yeah, I mean, that's only this year too. So like you've had 4 years there.
Oh my gosh, stop.
So what is a favorite memory that comes to mind that you would want to share?
Lexie, if you have one, you go, girl.
I think what I think of is just kind of being able to be involved in music and with the choir and with the worship team. That's something that has been like so worthwhile to me during my time at Sterling, being able to make friends with the people I'm singing with and just have a really good time while worshiping and using my skills and getting better at things that I love to do. Also just doing really crazy things that you never thought you would do. Like, I think just really random times where I think Sterling is very lending to the spirit of spontaneity. And there are so many times when like you can plan an event and it can go really well. Or you can just say to your friends, hey, let's go sit on the top of Smizer Stadium and just like watch the thunderstorms. Even though it's super dangerous, we might get struck by lightning. We're sitting on metal bleachers. But I think there have been so many times when, you know, like we take risks, like let's go sit on the steps of Cooper and watch the rain. And I think just like being able to have really fun moments with my people and with all of you has been really rewarding. I'm trying to think of some other fun memories. Those have been just mostly from this year or last year. I think um, always, like, every year that I've been involved in orientation is always really fun. Just getting to help welcome people to Sterling, and they don't know what they're in for. It's kind of crazy, the stuff that we're having them do for orientation, and they're like, is this college? Like, is this like, it kind of feels like day camp, like we're jumping through a hula hoop, and doing really crazy stuff. But I think that's kind of the thing that makes Sterling unique, and makes the community so strong. And even experiencing hard times coming alongside each other is something that has been like very rewarding to witness and be a part of. So those are kind of some of my favorite memories that come to mind about Sterling.
Red?
Yeah, I definitely feel you on kind of the spontaneous, just random things that we did, the thunderstorms and the watching the rain that turned into a hailstorm really quick on Cooper Steps. Yeah, I think genuinely, man, reminiscing on the 4 years, but especially this year, I think it's just the laughs. Like, yes, that's a very like open answer, but it's just there's so many emotions that I don't know. Oh man, it is so hard to nail down. I personally, I just, as much as I hate the calf food, and I'm going to say that publicly, it sucks. But
It is way
like
better
just being,
it is way better than that when I was a student there. So I will go on record and say that. So
you're right. You know, we
back
are
in my
blessed. We are
day.
blessed. We are blessed with what we have. But I will say that calf has, oh man, just the conversations that would happen there, the laughs, the tears. I think standing at some of those bars and sitting at the table is like, it's just been so good to have such a community-driven college. And I think that's what is so undervalued. And I think that no one from Sterling will understand. But yeah, I definitely speak to what Lexie said about being spontaneous and making the little things count. And it's not necessarily what you're doing, but it's just doing it together that matters. And so I think that's the one thing I do reminisce on the most, is just genuinely the crazy weird things that we would find ourselves doing, sitting in SJ office, getting corn dogs delivered to us at midnight. Like it's those things that are just, that make Sterling Sterling.
Yeah, and you have to innovate and get creative because there's nothing else to do in Sterling. You
Yeah.
have to be spontaneous and crazy and go to IHOP at 2 a.m. and
Chick-fil-A is where it's at.
see, again, not present when I was a college student there. That's only a recent addition to Hutchinson. So, but I think Red, you really hit on the phrase, and Lexie drew out some of her memories with it too. But a community-driven college experience, and it's hard to put your finger on it without living through it. But you two are finishing your time, and I was a college student at Sterling as well, so I know exactly what you are referring to. And what I can attest to so many years after I've graduated is the enduring connectedness of that community. And on my first day of orientation, I'm the oldest, so my parents had never dropped a child off at college, and I'm from the Chicagoland area, so it's 12 hours away, and my mom was terrified. And I actually was starting college at Sterling with a couple people that I knew already and was rooming with them and didn't feel like I was going to have a problem making friends, but a mother always worries. And we were in line for orientation. All the other families are around. There was a crazy O staff that was happening then and is now still happening. You two were a part of that. And my mom just points across at a boy and she says, or I guess a young man, and says, "He looks nice, be friends with him." And just last week, I was on a Zoom call with him and his wife, and that is, 10 plus years later, that we've retained that community and friendship and connected. And then with him and then the other two friends that I was coming into the college with. And so all four of us are there with our wives. Three of the four of us, our wives also attended. And now we've got, I don't even know how many kids among us. And, but we met and cultivated relationship and friendship at the community-driven college that is Sterling. And so I think you both are hitting on that really, really well. So how have you grown at Sterling, whether it be spiritually, academically, leadership-wise, relationally? We've talked about some of that and the community and friendships that you've made, but how do you feel like you've grown in your time at Sterling?
I think one way, a lot of the ways that I've grown is just learning how to be myself. I think I've always had a really strong sense of self, but I never felt like it was really okay to be myself. And really, I think Sterling is a place that really encouraged me that like we have all sorts of people here. I think on the surface we look like we're a small community, and that you think there's not going to be that many people, you think there's not going to be that many types of people, but I think saying everyone here is completely different. We're all like from different places and from different backgrounds, but I can be myself and I will like find someone who like wants to be friends with me and wants to care for me. And I think that's true about the students, and I think that's true about the faculty as well. Just finding people who were willing, who were committed to making an environment where people can grow and people can like develop skills, like leadership skills. That was always something that I wanted to do in high school, but like being from a big school, if I wasn't like very popular, that wasn't something that was really accessible to me. And so like Sterling, it's not like I'm the most popular person, but I'm still able to like have leadership roles. And I can still have like a ministry with my peers. And I think that that's something that's really important and unique about Sterling. I think in my faith, I've grown just being able to be around Christians in a Christian community, and being able to help others and be helped by others is something that I think is very valuable and important. And I'm eternally grateful to Sterling for.
Red, how about you? How have you grown?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of retweet what Lexie first said. And I think just through high school, there's just a lot of pressure to fit in and a lot of pressure to be like the person next to you, and where individuality should be encouraged. You kind of get lost in the crowd sometimes. And I definitely suffer from that too. And so coming to Sterling was kind of a do-over for me. Like I didn't have to come in with prejudgment from others or kind of anyone really knowing about my past besides a few people that I came to school with from Houston. And so I think it, like Lexie said, it just allowed me to really embody who I was created to be. And so I think as many people know, like I love to be involved and I love to do as much as I can, even if it's too much sometimes. And so I think I really found my love for servant leadership, which is great because that's what Sterling embodies. And so I think that just personality wise, it's allowed me to blossom and to be confident in who I am. I mean, this is when I started loving my curls. Like I just get to be who I truly was made to be. And regarding my faith, I think it has been absolutely amazing to come alongside people that are also finding their footing in their faith and coming together and joining each other on such a unique journey of building your own foundation, because your parents have hopefully set up a good image of a good foundation, or maybe coming to Sterling was an opportunity where people heard about Jesus for the first time ever. And I think that Sterling really gives the opportunity for uniqueness in that journey and just kind of pushing each other to be better. But also it'll completely allows, like the community is very honest. And so like if you're struggling or you are uncertain or you're questioning things, they're not going to look at you like, oh, you should know the answer. Like they're more than willing to help you walk this journey and find that answer on your own without telling you what you should and shouldn't be. And so personally, that's how I've seen my journey. And so, yeah, I think it's just been an absolute blast to get to know myself on a deeper level, but also get to see so many other people go through the same exact journey. And I think that's what makes at least my time at Sterling so beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know that some of this is still a little bit up in the air, but what are you working on right now in terms of future plans? And it's okay if you kind of say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this or that," but it's, then we can pray for you in the midst of that. We wish that it's hard to see students need to transition, but it's also a celebration of that. We wouldn't want you to remain students with us forever, but the sad part is that you don't really remain with us then in the same way. But what are you thinking about in terms of your future? Lexie?
I think I've been looking at different fellows programs and just kind of seeing if God is leading me towards that path, and just trying to find opportunities and be willing to go through avenues, like and just like looking at doors that God is opening.
Yeah, awesome. Red?
I think right now my unofficial plan is to actually stay in Sterling for another year, for a gap year in between going to grad school. I kind of came to the idea that God had, or I have outgrown Sterling College, but I have not outgrown Sterling, and I think there's a lot of things that I feel like God is calling me to serve within the community. But other than that, I think it'll be a year and then on to grad school. And then honestly, I would love to say I have an idea of what the Lord is going to call me to, but I have no idea. And surprisingly, I'm extremely excited for that uncertainty. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wonder if I could close in prayer, both for you two, but then also just for the whole senior class. Is that okay? Can I close in prayer? Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I'll pray for us. Father in heaven, thank you first for Red and Lexie. They gave of their time today to hopefully record something that is helpful and even healing to the other seniors that they've gone to school with, Lord, for a number of years and have journeyed alongside of. I pray for them in their future endeavors as they are seeking out what is coming next, that they would seek your face first and foremost in the midst of that, and that you would shine upon them with your favor. And I pray that for all of our seniors, Lord, that are looking at a transition here, as they're applying and interviewing and looking at what is coming next job-wise and where they're going to live and where they're going to go and how all of this will work together, Lord. I believe that you are working these things on behalf of and in partnership with our seniors, and so I pray for them in the midst of that. I also pray uniquely for our seniors in the midst of COVID-19 who have given up so much, Lord. And loss is always difficult. It comes with grief, which is not something that we like to talk about or dwell in very long. Grief is hard and difficult, but it's necessary. It's a necessary journey to walk, to move forward in the midst of great loss, which we have all experienced, and especially the seniors. So I pray for them as they are grieving the loss of getting to close out their college career with their friends, as the loss of graduation in the way that they had expected it, the loss of finishing out their classes in person with their professors, other losses, Lord, that have come, whether for the loss of family members or other losses and grief that they are experiencing. Heal them, Lord, and be with them. I do pray a special blessing upon our senior class, Lord, and ask for you to be with them and shine your face upon them, Lord, to give your favor to them in all of their endeavors. It has been such a joy to get to serve them this year. And again, I am sad that I only get to overlap with these incredible seniors for just 1 year. I'm grateful to still get to connect with the underclassmen and the juniors, get more time to be with them. But we know that you are in control. And even though I only got a year with them and it isn't ending the way that any of us would want, we do rest in your sovereignty and care and provision. So thank you again for Red and Lexie and for their time today in conversation. And we pray together all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Red, do you want to wave and say goodbye?
See ya.
Lexie?
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Sterling College. We'll see you soon.